Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Legacy Leaders. I'm Scott McMeans. Today, I'm joined by Shannon Harrell from Flow Yoga Studios. Now, probably thinking, what am I going to learn from somebody who owns a yoga studio? What if I told you there's a lot more to it than just yoga studios? What if we gave Shannon an opportunity to tell us her story, how she got here, and just how good she is at owning a yoga studio and more? So, I'm going to give her that opportunity. The microphone and camera are yours. Tell us your story. Introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My
So,
pleasure.
unlike a lot of folks who go into the yoga journey and business where they perhaps start in the yoga and fitness realm with, a firm belief from the beginning that that's what they want to do, my career path took a little bit different way for someone who ended up in yoga, which is I started in corporate and communications
Mhm.
and marketing. So, right out of college, I got a job at an advertising agency here in Cleveland. Worked there for about 7 years, experienced all the highs and lows of working at an ad agency, and was feeling a little burned out. Surprise, surprise, and ended up moving to a corporate setting. Actually, worked at Progressive Insurance for some time, leading marketing and communications in various roles there. Thought I was kind of on this marketing and communications trajectory and was really pulled to work that allowed me to connect with other people, whether
Okay.
that was connecting to the consumer or the audience or even employees as far as internal communications. And so I was called to lots of different roles in communications leadership, both through the lens of employees and also through the lens of consumers, and ended up overseeing communications from a brand PR standpoint for Nestle brands. And so you might be wondering, like, how or when or does yoga come into play? Despite kind of feeling super fulfilled in my career, I always felt like something was missing. Like maybe I wasn't having as much impact or purpose on my day to day. And so I ended up taking some yoga classes, really falling in love with it. It served as a nice counterbalance to the daily stress and daily craziness of a corporate job and working mom. And so having time to do yoga allowed me to experience its benefits, not just from a like taking time for myself standpoint, but also recognizing the power and value of that mind body connection. And I was
Yep.
starting to see a lot of kind of its benefits and proof points come to life outside of just being on the yoga mat. And so I thought, like, this is not something that maybe I would have always been interested in, but I saw a yoga studio that I took classes from was doing yoga teacher training. Um, and I had been teaching in other ways. I teach college courses in marketing and communications at John Carroll and Bryant Stratton College, and so I kind of had this teaching itch where, again, back to that connection from the
Mhm.
stance of communications, it's like connecting with people and connecting people to things that I find valuable and had such a huge benefit in my life. I thought, well, gosh, I like teaching people about communications. Why not try teaching? Why not give teaching yoga a try, right? Because I was so
Okay.
excited about all of these benefits that I was experiencing. And I'm one of those very annoying people where if I like something and I'm super passionate about it, I want like everybody in my life to understand how awesome it is because, I just want them to see like if you just did this or just experienced it or just did it
Right.
for a minute, I know that everybody's lives would be a little bit richer, a little bit better, a little bit more, balanced. So I went all in kind of on that teacher training experience. And at the end of it, had an opportunity to teach at a few different studios in the Cleveland area. And I was super happy just having my corporate job and teaching yoga. And then had the opportunity to purchase a studio with my husband, my business partner. And so, we'd done marketing and communications for a long time at big brands. And we thought, gosh, like if we can do it there, why can't we do it somewhere that we love and we believe in the mission and the purpose, and start building that out. And so I started doing the corporate thing and the yoga thing. And, over the past, 2 years while we've had the yoga studios, I have found myself getting so excited and inspired and being not minding working, the yoga
Yeah.
studio job, and feeling less inspired and less motivated to do my corporate job. And so where I kind of landed was, how do I bridge the gap between these two? How do I not walk away from all of my experience leading communications and executives at big brands at a
Uh-huh.
job that was, part of my identity? Am I really ready to give all of that up to just go full, yoga studio person? And so the answer was yes, and also, but can I bridge the gap, right? So can I go all in on where my kind of heart and values and passions are being called to, which is the yoga studio, but also knowing what I know about executive burnout, executive
Mhm.
communication, how well employee culture can be when leaders are also regulated, and when leaders are also taking the time to give themselves the appropriate space for mind body connection. Can I take what works so well at the yoga studio and apply
Yeah.
it in kind of an executive employee culture, leadership development arm? And so I left actually my corporate job and am now
Mm.
primarily focused on doing everything at the studios and also building out kind of a corporate arm of the studio, whether that's through executive and leadership retreats or one-on-one coaching or employee events, what have you. And, it feels right at the moment. I know there's a need across the board. I've seen it at my previous roles. And so I'm just, here I am just looking to fulfill that need and meet with the right people to show them what yoga is all about.
Okay. That's great. There's a lot there.
There is.
I appreciate you giving that. And something I want to touch base on, burnout. You made comment, I think, burnout 3 times, which is understandable because yoga does a really nice job of helping people with burnout. But it's also a reason why I think you made the transition from where you were to where you are now. Is it wasn't that necessarily you were burned out of your corporate job, but you were burning the candle at both ends, trying to figure out which one you like better. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that one was worse than the other one. It's just the other one was more of a draw, a passion, and a
Yes.
mission-driven purpose for you to find your spot, right?
Yes.
And you made a comment earlier. You said something was missing. Have you found it?
I have, yes. And so it's interesting because, when I talk a lot of people through this story, and, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, corporate, working for the man or working all the time." I actually think I'm working more now. It's just I'm working on things that I own or things that I, see the immediate value in, versus working to communicate or promote or market, great brands, but maybe those that I don't have that personal connection to, or perhaps can't see the immediate impact of the work. I think
Yeah.
that's another big piece for a lot of folks looking to create their own businesses or looking to, build out their own suite of services, what have you. For me, the most rewarding work is the work that I'm able to see my personal immediate
Mhm.
impact. And I think there's no greater way to see that than when you go into business with yourself, of course, because you're the
Very.
one who's making the decisions and impacting, the day to
Mhm.
day for better or worse. It's hard to not feel like you're important and impactful and critical to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think there's a big piece of the freedom, the frightening part of being a business owner that gets your juices flowing. And the point where you either are in or you're not. And when you think about it, when you own it and you have the immediate impact that you can have on your own thing, it's pretty powerful, right? That you can pull that passion into your own job. It's different than working or punching the clock for somebody else. It just is. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why the entrepreneurial spirit is rare. And when it burns incredibly intensely hot because that's what you want, right? You're doing it for yourself. But I think what's interesting about your story, Shannon, is you have a drive and a mission to teach and help others while you're doing what you're passionate about, whether it was corporate communications and teaching it, whether it's teaching a marketing class at a university or you're teaching yoga. There's a way of helping people beyond where they are right now that is a passionate way to make money because you're doing something you believe in, which is unbelievably great. That way you don't work so hard. And you said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, you're probably working hard now than you were before, but it's a justifiable work because you love it and there's a reason behind it. It's more than just, well, I got to go to San Francisco for the weekend for this conference. It's no, I'm doing this for my business, right?
Yes.
It's a big difference. So when you think about all those things, what are some of the other challenges that really kind of push themselves forward that you've attacked, whether it's alone or with your business partner? What is it that you've really done that's kind of pushed you over some of those bigger challenges?
Sure. So I would say one of the bigger challenges, I think, for anyone starting out that I certainly felt was that imposter syndrome, right? So I had never owned a business before. I had worked for other big brands. I have my master's. I'm educated in these spaces, but as far as real world application and doing the thing and
Mhm.
filing, for the LLC and the separate EIN number, like all of the processes, right, that can be so overwhelming and make some people, I think, just then and there be like, I don't know how to do this and I don't know what to do. And so it's paralyzation. I think a way that I have kind of worked through that is just knowing that I can do it because other people have. And so if
Yeah.
other people have and they figured it out, that means the answers are out there. I might not know them. It might take me longer or trial and error, but like certainly it's not impossible because I look around and I see other even out of category, brands and
Mhm.
people and organizations who are doing this. There's also such an incredible network of people who are willing to help in your own personal or community life, and I think a lot of people, I'm one of them, where I have an idea. I wanted to launch this business. I kept everything in my head because I wanted to figure it out for myself, where I wasn't sharing what I wanted or what I needed or, how I needed help. And it's like the minute you start vocalizing some of those things or reaching out to experts or reaching out to mentors or people that you see who are doing it well, the minute I started doing that, the minute you realize how many of these people want to help. Like they've been
Yeah.
through it, they've learned the hard way. They like to share their stories so that others can, perhaps not struggle with the same things they did and pay it forward, if you will. And so
Yeah.
I think that combination both of getting out of your own way by way of imposter syndrome, like you're not an imposter if you're doing it. And so own that and be okay with that, even if it's scary. Take that step forward and don't be afraid to look stupid by saying what you want, because that is how, people in your life and the universe and all of the things, people can't show up for you if they don't know they need to show up for you. And I think
100%.
so many of entrepreneurs or business owners, they kind of suffer in silence or want to show they can do the thing and make it perfect. But the magic is when you let other people in and see how that can help you grow and be even better.
Well, you tapped on something that's pretty unique. Um, Entrepreneur or a business owner is the single most isolating occupation in the planet, right? Because we have to be everything to everyone, and we have to
Mm-hmm.
do everything according to what we want it done. And the moment you break that wall and you realize I can't do it all by myself, I don't know enough, but I have people that know a lot more than me. I'm going to let them in. then your world just completely changes because now you realize I'm not an imposter. I just don't know how to do that aspect of the business. And I'm not
Yes,
picking on you, but you're a corporate communications marketing person. You have the marketing, the messaging, you have that stuff nailed. How are you at finances? How are you
exactly.
at operations? How are you at team building? How are you at building the infrastructure to make it all work? Where like that stuff is so different, right? Because there's doctors, lawyers that I've worked with that you talk to them and they're brilliant people. They're really good at their job. They have no idea how to run the business from the other aspects of the very specific technical thing they're good at. And
Yes,
that's the unique thing about being an entrepreneur is once you have the vision and the idea, great, be a big dreamer, have it be as big and as hairy as your dream could possibly be. But you got to seek out the help so people can actually step in and give you guidance and advice and fill in those gaps that you know are there, but you just don't recognize them until, oh crap, I don't know anything about, I don't know how to do bookkeeping. I never even thought about it.
yes,
Right.
100%. And, it's trial and error for sure. And I think there's a lot of business owners, myself included, who like want to try and figure it out, want to try and save costs instead of,
Yeah.
paying somebody else to do it. And it took my husband and I like 6 months, I would say, of keeping our own books, going into QuickBooks, wasting so much time allotting all of these costs before we were like, we just need an accountant. We just need like a bookkeeper to
Yeah.
like do this.
Yeah.
Like, please just, and so, and you spend so much time doing the things that maybe aren't your strengths. And I'm doing it in what it would take somebody else a fraction of the time. And so
Yeah.
I think it's also realizing those things is like where, when you're a business owner and you're trying to boil the ocean and you don't have the luxury of a staff and unlimited resources and unlimited funds, it becomes tricky to figure out how to balance your day. Like, really, what do I need to do and be focused on to grow the business? But what
Yeah.
do I also need to be doing to keep the lights on and moving it forward? Those things are rarely the same, and they also rarely require the same skill set. So that has been the challenge, right? To make sure that you have the right people working on the right thing so that you are able to focus your time on where it's really going to matter versus getting stuck in the weeds and spending all of your time as the business owner to do something that would take someone, a fraction of that
Yeah.
time and expense if they're an expert in that area.
And I think that's a really good commentary because if you think about, not that everybody should work with a boutique firm of any sort, but think of it this way. If you're not good at accounting and you're going to try to do the accounting, unless you're really going to invest the amount of time to learn it, it's going to distract you from the thing you're good at that you can make
Yes.
money doing and do those things in a lot less time that it would take you to do that. Just spend the $100 and have somebody do your books for the month.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
do it, right? And now you take a look at it and say, okay, what other holes do I have in my portfolio that I need to pay attention to? And now it's okay, Shannon, you're really good at the marketing stuff. What do you do about the systems? What do you do about hiring people? How does that work? Well, I'm sure you're not doing it all on your own now because you've built a little bit of a system that makes it work. So transition the thought process from, okay, starting out drinking from a fire hose, holy shit, all this stuff is happening, right? To now that the waters have calmed, how do you manage and how do you grow within this new, because you've got a number of different arms of flow yoga. How is it that you're kind of branching out and allowing different things to happen because you've had such a foundation? I'm assuming the waters are calm, but I don't want to assume. So walk me through now that you're kind of here, how do you start branching out?
Sure. So I must be a glutton for punishment because I did get to the place of calm waters in the first location. So we have two locations, one in downtown, like Mayfield Village area, and then
Okay.
another in downtown Gates Mills. We started with the one in Mayfield Village, had that one for about a year, got to a place where, as you were saying, like learned the systems, let the right people run the right things, had appropriate ways of getting a sub and instructors and a pipeline, and knew what kind of class times were resonating with folks, how to build out our offerings. We were starting to do a little bit more of kind of corporate weekends, happy hours, meditation hours, going off site. We had partnered with a few businesses. Things were great. And then we were told or were informed that there was another location, and would we be interested in perhaps moving into that one? And that's where our Chagrin River location in downtown Gates Mills was born. And it was like, well, gosh, we did this for one. In our minds, we were like, oh, we'll just do it all over again
So
for
simple.
Chagrin River.
So
Copy
simple.
paste, no big
Yeah.
deal. Very big deal,
Yeah.
but as far as standing up another location and making the systems work with both and getting the appropriate resources for both and thinking through, if we have this location, what gaps is it going to fill from the other? And are we going to cannibalize our clients? And how do we continue to grow this market? And they're both kind of close. And, so
Yeah.
all of the calm waters that we had in our first location quickly started, creating almost a riptide, if you will, in this other location. And we're now in a place where we're back to those calm waters, and then enter this building out the corporate offering, which is a whole other ball of wax.
Okay.
But I think it demonstrates that, like, when you find the calm, you can ask yourself,
Mhm.
and there's two different kind of business owners and leaders, and neither are right or wrong, right? I think if you get that sense of calm, right, where you're like, hey, this is what my business looks like, I feel good about this is what I can anticipate by way of projected earnings and all of this stuff, and this is good, I'm good here.
Right.
Just keep doing that, adjust where you need to, pull the various levers that you've learned for that particular business, to keep it running. There are other people like myself who are like, it's calm. That means now that I could take on some more. And I'm still
Yeah.
newer to all of this. I still, I left my corporate career early. I still, as far as like retirement goes, I see myself working for a significant more
Yeah.
period of time. So my ability to want to ramp up and scale and all of those things, I have the energy and the kind of zest and want for it at this point in my life. There may be a time when I don't, at which point the calm waters will feel really good. Let's set up the sail
Yeah.
and just hang out here for a while, right? But for me, the calm waters almost present an opportunity for okay, it's calm right now, and that's great, and we can enjoy that for a moment, and of course be grateful that we got to this place. But how do we continue
Yeah.
to grow and get to some new waters?
Well, I'm putting this analogy in my brain and thinking about calm waters and comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're comfortable in the calm waters because it's easy. You're
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in the calm waters because it took you however long to get through the white waters. It took you all that time to jump in and get through all these hoops, and now you're here. Okay, there's more. There's got to be more. So
Yes.
instead of staying in your comfort zone, you grow beyond it by stepping outside of that comfort zone. So not that you're out there churning up hurricanes to make the waters less calm, but you're out there trying to churn up an opportunity. And whether it's something you stumble upon, where it's a brand new location you can get to, or a corporate extension that you want to do because you see a niche that you can fit and do really well in, it's all about breaking through the comfort zone mentality, which is now that I'm here and everything's fine, I can ride it out, or let's see if we can stretch our comfort zone and get bigger and better at what we do. And that's the type of
Mhm.
person that is that entrepreneur that wants to do and see more of themselves because the possibilities are endless when you
Right.
think big, right? So I love the idea of the calm waters and stretching out beyond it, but it's all about your comfort zone, right?
For
Nobody
sure.
learns, nobody learns or grows when they're inside their comfort zone because it's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may bounce up against a wall, be like, it's okay. Bounce up again, that's okay,
100%.
right? It's when
Yes.
you break through and you get uncomfortable. It's like, okay, now the fertilizer has hit the ventilator. We need to
Mm-hmm.
do something, right?
100%. And I think it's that when you realize what you truly are capable of. And I think that's
Yeah.
true of even physically in yoga, right? I'll be in my class and I try and push people to what I call their edge, right? And I'll hear people say like, "Oh my gosh, Shannon, I thought I was going to die, but then I
Mm.
didn't." And then that was awesome because I did this thing that I didn't think I could do. I think it's really no different than when we're challenged in anything in life, business, of course. But until you have that challenge that you have to work through and overcome by yourself in that scary way, in the moment where you think like, gosh, is this even worth it? Am I going to be able to figure it out? Like you do. And then you can, and then you have the tools and experiences, and can help others when they're in a similar situation or challenge. And I think that as a business owner, the more you have those little failures that you overcome,
Yeah.
the stronger and more confident you become. And something that would have rattled you, a couple years ago, you're like, okay, been there, done
Yeah.
that. This is not a big deal.
It's so easy. It's so easy to get through that, right? And what is it? Calm waters never make a seasoned sailor. You have to
Mm-hmm.
go through, you
Yes,
have to go through some shit in order to be really
for
good at it.
sure.
And I had a conversation with a bright young kid a couple weeks ago, and he kept saying, I failed forward a lot. That's why I'm successful. I failed forward a lot. I said, let's change your mindset from failing as part of negative and say, I'm successful because I learned through the lesson. And that
Mm-hmm.
just changes your mind to say, everything I'm doing, right, wrong, or indifferent, good, bad, or ugly, I'm doing this because I'm going to learn a lesson. I'm either going to learn how to do it the right way and be unbelievably happy with it, or I'm going to learn, okay, that's not how you do it. Let's tweak it and try it again. But we're
Yes.
always learning through the lesson. And I like
Yes.
that mentality change because it gives you more of a positive outlook towards what you're going to face. And again, no matter how calm or choppy the waters are, as long
Mm-hmm.
as you're prepared for it and you know long term, I can get through this with I'm capable of. I don't know what it is yet, but through my own trials and errors, through my own constant and persistent nature, I will get through it. And then I know exactly what I'm capable of. That's pretty good. That's pretty powerful stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. So all this stuff considered, I mean, you've got two yoga studios, right? You've got a corporate arm. What else
Yes.
is on the horizon for Flow Yoga?
Oh, great question. So one of the other things that we've been doing that I don't even really know how I would categorize it, because it's not at one of the physical locations, are retreats.
Okay.
So that's another big piece of our kind of portfolio of offerings that I've been putting a lot of effort around and is really starting to pay off. Last year, I took a group of about 20 people to River Mountain, Pennsylvania area. It's about 3 hours outside of Cleveland. Just a long weekend retreat of connection with nature. You take barefoot hikes. We visit an aviary to see how honey is
Damn.
made. Farm fresh meals. We've got restorative yoga every night, slow flow or power yoga every morning, kayaking, cold plunges. It's an incredible weekend. This year, in November, I'm taking double the amount of people from last year.
Wow, good for you.
So that's super exciting. And then I just got back from Costa Rica. I took a group of 30 people for a week-long retreat, and already booked
Hmm.
our next year dates, of which we already have 25 people coming. So we only have like 5 spots left for next July. And then I'm going to Ireland this weekend to scope out 3 different locations. I'm really just trying to make travel my way of life
Stop.
and just get,
Okay.
travel and yoga. That's the way. So,
Let's do it this way though. Let's let people realize the benefit of business ownership, right? As a
mhm.
business owner, you get to take a trip and enjoy and experience it all you can. But when you do it for business, the business expense takes care of it. So it's a
Yes,
nice little write-off. I
it
love
is.
the idea. And if you go to Ireland, you have to just walk Trinity, the
Oh, I'm
university.
going to write that down right now
It's
because
in
I'm leaving on Friday, Trinity.
okay, it's in Dublin. It's the university there. It's
Oh, okay. Oh,
gorgeous.
yes, I will. I'll be in Dublin. So
Gorgeous. Yeah.
for
One
sure.
of the things I always find interesting about countries like that, in particular, Ireland, just because it's just so different. They have buildings that are older than our country,
I know.
right?
It's
It's just a
the
different
history
experience.
is just it makes
Different.
you realize what a small, little blip we are in this moment in time when you see
Well,
things that have been around for longer than most things over here in the US.
we are so neophyte in the grand scheme of things in this
Mhm.
on this planet, but it's crazy how we become this melting pot, all these different things. When you go to a different country, it's just so different. So I wish you have an amazing trip.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to close this out with a final question for you.
Yes.
I want to throw you into a time machine and send you back to find 18-year-old Shannon.
Oh, wow.
The two of you are going to sit on a park bench. What's that conversation sound like?
Oh, wow. That is, I mean, 18-year-old Shannon was a very, very different person. And I would tell 18-year-old Shannon that she's going to figure it out. Um,
Okay.
I would tell 18-year-old Shannon that she can and should rely on and trust those who have been there for her.
Okay.
Because when she needs them, they will be there, and that she doesn't need to go at it alone, right? Uh, Either with people that she knows now or people that she's going to meet. People want to help. There is a greater community of people outside of us. Like, look at us chatting right now and what we have
Yeah.
learned from one another. It just takes that one conversation or outreach to find somebody to pull you out of a situation that you think can't be changed. And I would also tell 18-year-old Shannon not to worry so much about the things that seem so overwhelmingly important at that
Mhm.
point in her life, by way of getting the job and the title and the all of the silliness that comes
Yeah.
with what all of these kids coming out of college have been conditioned to be so motivated around. And I would
Yeah.
tell her to ask herself, like, why are you doing this? What do you want? Like, when do you feel most happy and when do you feel most fulfilled? And I doubt that the answer would be from a job title or company that
Yeah.
you're working at. And so I think there's so much work to be done with the younger generation and just reconditioning them
Yeah.
to understand, what success really is versus, what they've seen equals salary or title.
I love the idea of you expressing it that way. And I'm going to go back all the way to one of the first comments you made. And that was when I was working so hard at the corporate job, something was missing. And you just described the reason why. Don't go into it for the wrong reasons, but find what you want out of life and don't miss out on what's possible. So I want to thank you for that. That's really good.
You bet.
It's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of this. What an amazing conversation. A lot of great nuggets of wisdom. So I appreciate you contributing in that fashion. All the information that people would need to get in touch with you, I'll have in the description down below. So they'll be able to email, get in touch with you, find out your yoga studios from your website, things like that. Anything else you want to say to the crowd before we say goodbye?
Just thanks for hanging out with us. And I look forward to meeting everybody that comes through this kind of community and space.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on Legacy Leaders.